Hey guys, Widow again, part 3 of the Baja rebirth. In my last video there was a couple of things that I brought up about some bits and pieces that we have that weren't quite correct. So one of them was these hubs. Now what I found out, they're not actually for the Baja. These are actually, they got into the spare parts by accident, but I will be using these later on an FG fifth scale that I have in the background. They're actually wheel adapters to use from the FG, so you can use the Baja rims and tyres on this. So that was a lucky break for me. Now, some of the things I've already moved forward and actually pulled the truck down, started cleaning it all up, and you can see like the chassis, it's pretty much ready to go. Plus along with other few things, a few alloy bits here that I've got to clean up. Some of these I won't be using because, like I said before in the last video, some parts which will be replaced with orange ones. So still got to do a couple of those things. Still some parts coming. But what I have moved forward with is I've got the two hubs here with the hexes already installed, and one of these I had to replace the bearings in that one there, the inner bearing. The old bearing was all notchy and rusted. So the other thing with is I've gone and installed these arms on here. Now we may use these. I'll see if old matey wants to run with these plastic ones, or before I put it together, maybe we get some nice alloy ones. But we'll see how we go with that. So that's done. The other thing in the last video I was talking about the front shock tower assembly with the whole alloy setup. Now I found out this is actually to suit a buggy, so I won't be using this particular piece, so it'll wind up being a spare. The only reason because the original frame requires for the front bumper on these Bajas, the 5T and the 5SC, you got these two holes in this plastic bulkhead here. So they got pins to slide through with clips on the back for the top section of the front bar mount. So of course it won't fit in there. No holes. That's a buggy tower. So I won't be using that one. But I have assembled this to the point where it's ready to go in. But we may even, we'll see how things roll, may even replace this plastic bulkhead piece here with a bit of alloy. So otherwise we'll see what happens with when we get to that point, but that part's done. The other funny thing that I found out while I was pulling this thing apart, this motor, now 7 horsepower is an hour. What I did find out is, put my trusty glasses on here so I can read this, but if you can see on the bottom of the motor here, it's hang on upside down, Miss Jane, it's an OBR, O'Neill Brothers Racing. So, and they always engrave their engine. So what I found, it's a full mod. I don't know if you can see that there, 27.2, that's CC long rod. So it's I'm assuming that this long rod means it's like a stroker, I suppose, but it's a 27.2 cc OBR full mod. So no wonder it's 7 horsepower. So that's another fine little thing that I found out during the build. So I've already had the diff apart, cleaned it all up. One of the bearings in this gear inside here, which is, I suppose you could call it your idler gear, which goes from your drives it, and then drives your diff tram wheel. So one of the bearings in there was had it, so I had to replace the bearing in there, and I've gone greased all the gears. The diff itself's perfect, and what I did was I actually when I cleaned it all up and went to install this back together, the join in these Baja diffs, now there's no rubber seal, no gasket or anything like that. What they have is like a raised, like a rib running around this top half on the inside, and then they got like a lip or whatever it is when you clamp it together, they sort of overlap one another. So if you can picture it going together like that. What I did was I actually used a bit of Loctite master gasket, so it doesn't dry hard. It stays tacky for the whole time it's together. So if you ever have to pull it apart again, it's not going to stick. it'll be still gooey, but it'll help seal and stop foreign materials or dirt, water, mud, whatever get in. So I'll put that around there, and just around the lip, inside of here, a tiny smidge around there and around this side. Anything that's sort of open so that it can sandwich together and stop shit getting into your bearings. So that's all pretty much ready to go. The other thing I found out was with this is the carby of it. Now it is a 668 carby. It has a tiny bit of slop in the butterfly shaft here. So rather than muck around with it too much, we've got a new carby here with some gaskets. So that's the same thing, 668. So I'll be installing that on with the new gaskets instead of using the old one, so that'll eliminate some intake problems, whatever we come across. And everything else is all pretty much cleaned up. There's a couple of little things left that I've got to do. And while I'm here, I'll do this little, what I want to do for you guys on camera is change. This is the original setup for the steering setup out of the truck. Now, in the last video I talked about this alloy upgrade kit here. Excuse me. Now, I did say that there was one of these missing in the kit, but that's one of the things that I found out that I stuffed up on, because there's only this one, right? So that is actually only the one. The top half has the setup like this, with these two separate ones here. Now, the plastic, we may get some alloy ones, but I'm just going to install this together for you on camera now. So what I'll do is I'll start pulling this apart. I've already loosened some of these off, so I'll rip these off. So pull that off to the side. We'll do this one. So get this out of here. Okay, so the two arms are apart. Now, pull these two off. Now these two, that bit and that bit, now they will go on top of there, like that, after we put the bearings into there. I'll go ahead and pull this off. Oh, go ahead. Sounds like another guy I've been looking at on the YouTube. It's from that Baja site. All he says is go ahead every second word. But you probably would have heard him. But anyway, moving on. Shouldn't make fun of people. Okay. So I'll take this little sucker off. Bloody goodness. Alrighty. Okay. Two screws. Now, there's these two little inserts, right? So they got to keep those in there, and that will go sit in those two holes there, sitting across there. Now the other thing is, while I'm here, I'll pull this off, pull this shaft out, keep that section there, pull that one out. Now, as you can see, there's your two shafts that'll go up inside there. That's the plastic one, which is this one here, is the alloy that's going to replace it. So, if I can actually get them out, one in there, and that one there. So, there we go, alloy, plastic. So we're replacing that one with the alloy. Now, if I can find something here, excuse my fingers, get these bearings out. Thought this was going to be a bit easier than it is. Okay, one, that's a bit dirty, might have to give that a bit of a clean. Pull these bearings out of here, that's the bottom, that was the bottom one. Okay, that's the top one. It's out of that side, so we don't need that anymore. A couple of spare nuts there you might want to use. You won't need them on these because these holes are threaded, so put that to the side. Get the bearings out of this, bottom of this. Bottom one, that's a bit dirty too. Top one. and get them out without damaging them. Rough looking top one. So they're not too bad. Let me just have a feel of these suckers. Yeah, they feel alright. Actually, they feel pretty good. I would have thought they'd been a little bit notchy actually, but they're not too bad. Yep, we can reuse those. Now this is what I was talking about in my last video. This is your cam here to allow, for like when I said in the last video about when you hit something, and it can actually turn and pivot and do that. Right? Now, like I said last time, you can either count the turns out you do or measure it. And what I've done before this, I actually measured it from the top of here to the top of the spring. So that's 12 mil. So what I'll do is I'll pull this out, and when I install it into this part here onto this arm, I'll make it 12 mil. So I'll just pull that out. Pull that out of there. And it's just they're all this hex screw, so it's easy to pull them out. And they do have, in the bottom, as you can see, recessed nuts and everything. So we won't need them, because these have got that threaded in the alloy, so just screw them straight in. So it's pretty much pull it out of there, set that to the side. As you can see, that same sort of setup, but plastic. So by using this alloy setup, it should eliminate the slop in the steering, so it tightens everything up a bit more. So rightio, what I'm going to do now is clean that thread. I might put a little bit of Loctite on that. A bit of Loctite. Just the blue stuff. Bloody massive big bottle I've got here. It's the only one I could find. I couldn't find a smaller one, so a bit of Loctite on there. Okay, so we'll put this over in front of us. Now, put that in there, and what I'll do is I'll insert this one straight down in there. I've got the shakes today. So put that into there, so it looks like that. Now, I'll just tighten him up. Pick that one more. Put him together, doing him up. Now it's got a little flange here. Make sure the spring sits flat on that so it doesn't give you a false reading when you go to measure it, once it's all together. So put that like that, sitting just nice like that. Screw him down in. Now it's getting tighter, so what I am going to do, get my old ruler over here, which is a little bit rusty looking, but it'll give me what I need. So I'll just measure from the top like I did in the last one, and as you can see, that's pretty much bang on right there. Might give it half a tweak. That's like almost 13 mil. So I'll just give that another half turn. Measure that there to the top of the spring. There we go, 12 mil. That part's installed. Righto, so that goes there. Now that we've got these out, I'm just gonna give these a quick wipe, guys. All the bearings. I would have put new ones in this, but I don't have any new ones on hand. So, but they feel pretty good. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to install these bearings anyway. So once I get them in the truck, if they're a bit notchy, well, or once I get the whole assembly together, if they're a bit notchy, I might replace them. But they still feel pretty good at the moment. So now, since we started this side, we'll finish with this side. And you see a little recess inside the hole there, so the bearing is going to sit straight in there, like that, boom. There we go. Bottom one installed. Top one, same deal, it's got a little recess inside, you push the bearing into the hole. So it sits in there like that. That's installed. And moving on to this side, put the bottom one in. There we go. Seated in there. Top one, just like that. Okay, now righto, what we're going to do now is these suckers, I'm just going to give these a bit of a wipe off. Wipe a bit of that old grease off there. What I'm going to put on the bottom of these, I might put a little tiny bit of graphite grease just on the bottom, just so as they can slide around nice inside there. Nothing too drastic. So put just a tiny bit on the bottom, just a tiny bit, so you can see there. That's probably a bit too much. I can wipe some of that off, just a bit there, so when I stick it in the hole, oh, look at the shakes. Got the shakes pretty bad today. So in there, whoops, one, and a tiny bit on this one too. Just stop it rusting out and corroding inside the alloy there. Straight in there like that. Now, so actually before I put that on, what I'll do is I will install this little sucker here. Okay, so these two screws, as I said before, put a little bit of Loctite on them, a little bit of blue Loctite. So the red stuff's good for stuff that you're not planning on removing not having to remove. It's more of a semi-permanent type thing. The blue stuff is good, and it's also still easy enough to remove. So put him through there, and a little sugar. Put that one under there, like that. Put the other spacer back through there, like that. I'm just leaving that way for a minute. Now, a bit of Loctite on this one. All right. Now, put him through there, and then screw him into that one. Sorry about my hands, guys, getting in the way of the bloody camera. Righto. Now, I'll nip them up. Okay, here we go. Screw it down. Now, you should be able to screw it down, nip it up tight enough, because it's got the little alloy insert in it, so they won't bind. If I can get that bloody thing off now. So it'll still move. So install this one. Bloody thing's moving around on me. Now, like I said, I might bloody put an alloy one on this later, but come off there. Righto. If I can get that little sucker off. Probably not quite the right size, actually. But yeah, like I was saying, for the purpose of this video, I will install it like this. So now we can slide these two pins through the bottom two bearings on your, if I can get a hold of the bloody thing, through both sides here like this. Install them in that way, just making sure that they come through the top. Just pop that other bearing out, that's fine. We can put him back in. Already out. And there's that part of it. Now I might just, sorry about that, getting my head in the way, get my big buff head in the way of the camera. So I'll just put a tiny bit, as you can look at the slop on this, tiny bit around there. Oh, that's a bit much. Come on, righto. I'll do this, just so they can be. It's what that stuff is. It's just anti-seize, so it's kind of like a stops it. It'll help it from binding up. If it gets wet inside here, it'll stay. Tiny bit of grease on it, so anti-seize. It's like a bloody lubricant slash protectant type stuff. Okay, now these, I've got that bloody crap all over me. Alrighty, so then we can put these two on, and they go on there. Like I said before, I might be able to get some alloy ones of these, but just for the purpose of this video, just to show you guys on what the goes with all these, I'm just going to put this back together. So that's that part, and then sticking these bad boys on. Is that the right size? Yep, certainly is. Now, same with these. Put a little bit of Loctite on these, because once they screw into there, This will hold them in steady in place. Okay, one there. Screw him down. And then just give him a tweak. One. Now a little bit on this one, a little bit of Loctite. Screw this sucker down. Put him on there. Oop. Put it in there. Tighten him up. That's good to go. Now, there we have the alloy set up for the steering. So, what I might have a chat with him with is, like he's got some more parts coming, so might be able to get an alloy piece and these two alloy pieces here. But other than that, that setup is still going to be stronger than the plastic setup, the old plastic setup that was in the truck. So now that we've, like I was saying in the last video, there's two holes in the bottom chassis, so they'll recess into it. We'll give it a nice snug fit, and there'll be less slop, as you can see. Like there's no slop in any of that, which is good. Even though there's a couple of plastic bits in here, but all this section, all the good, what actually really counts. There's no slop, there's no movement. Like you see some of the plastic ones that are a bit bloody, got a tiny bit of movement in them. So that's all done. Your spring tension set. That's ready to go. That's pretty much ready to go straight back in the chassis. That's that. So I think what the next thing will be is starting to reassemble the chassis. That'll be probably the next video. But what the plan is, moving forward from here, chassis assembly next, probably maybe even the motor itself as well, or the motor onto the back half of the chassis at least anyway, and then get all the back end back together. Now all the suspension arms and all the rest of the plastic bits have already been cleaned, coated with a bit of silicone spray like Bertagel uses, or Botagel. Sorry mate, I don't know if I said that right, but it's good protectant for your plastics, helps rejuvenate them a bit, you know, make them look nice and clean. It helps repel the dust a bit. So yeah, they've all been done. So that's about all I've got from this side. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for episode 4. Until then.